Hey y'all, it's Ryan. Earth Day is right around the corner on Monday. So let's show Mother Nature a little bit of love in today's drawing. So grab your drawing tools and let's get to it.
To set up our canvas for our Earth Day art that we're going to work on, you need a canvas that is 3000 by 3000 pixels. The DPI is 300. So we are going to leave our background color white. So I'm just going to turn off my finished art to get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is come into my layers, click the plus sign to add a new layer. I'm going to set my brush color to this dark navy blue and make sure my brush is set to Monoline. I have it set all the way up at 100 and opacity is 100 as well. I am just going to draw a circle, hold, and then put my finger down on my screen so it snaps to, and I'm going to make this a larger circle. I'm going to use my arrow tool, my select tool, to then center this on my screen. I like working larger to smaller so that way it holds its shape and it doesn't get pixelated. If you work smaller to larger, when you stretch your image out, you'll notice that it gets pixelated around the edges. So now I'm going to color fill. And I'm going to start building in my clipping masks. So in my layers, click the plus sign, select the layer, select it as a clipping mask. Now I'm going to go to this bright green, and I am going to turn my brush size down to about 12%. The reason I did a clipping mask is so that I can start off of my circle and then connect it back around, so then I can come in and fill that whole area, in one swoop. And I'm going to go in and draw in my islands and my continents over my globe. Okay, I'm going to click on the continue filling to change it to color drop, and then I can drop color in on the rest of my shapes. So now I'm going to add my clipping masks, keep going. So click on my plus sign, select it, select clipping mask. I'm going to change to a brighter color green, and I'm going to build in. So I'm drawing on top of the shapes that I did previously. Because when we do the cut paper effect on it, we're going to put shadows behind each one so that it gives it that depth look to it. Okay, and then color fill. Click continue filling to color drop. And then do the same steps, new layer, make it a clipping mask, change my green to this much lighter green, and go through the same steps. Now on this small little island over here, I'm going to break it up into two, just to add a little bit more interest to it. Okay, and then I have one final green selected as a clipping mask, so new layer, clipping mask, and then same steps. forgot to change my color. There we go. And again, I'm gonna break some of these up just so it adds a little bit more of an interesting look to it. Then color fill. Okay, so that means I did not close that one all the way. Let's try it now. There we go. Okay, so my green is done. Now I'm going to start working on filling in the blue. For that, I am still going to do the same steps of adding a clipping mask, but I'm going to select my first layer here and click the plus sign. It automatically, set it as a clipping mask, but it also is going to put it under the rest of my green layers. So come into my colors, go to this, it's a light blue, but it's not as dark. It's a dark blue, but it's not as dark as our starting color. Around my shapes. Make sure I close them. And then do color fill, and then drop. Come into my layers, select my bottom layer again, click the plus sign, again it's a clipping mask. I'm gonna come in with this really light color blue. And because I have areas where it meets or gets really close here, I'm just going to come to a point and then have spots where it opens up. So will it be able to see? Okay. Make that one shape. Same thing here. Okay, let's see if I got all of these filled in. Oop. Go. All right, so then the last step is to create that depth look, that paper cut look in the shadow. So I'm actually going to come into all of my layers. I'm going to swipe to the left, click duplicate. On this second layer, so the bottom one that I just added, I'm going to make sure my brush color is set to black. I'm going to click on the layer and click select. So now when I come back into my layers, that duplicated layer has been turned black. So I'm going to do that on all of my clipping mask layers. I'm going to turn them all black. Okay. Then I'm going to come into each one of these shadow layers and add a blur to it. So in my adjustments, I'm going to click on blur, and I'm going to set that blur up to about 8%. So you can see how it's adding that shadow to my first layer. So again, just going through all of these layers, selecting blur, and bumping that blur up to about 8%. Okay. Now I do want to move this shadow so it looks like my light is coming from my upper right-hand corner. So I'm going to come into my layers. I have that bottom shadow selected, and then I'm going to swipe to the right on all of my shadow layers. Make sure I got them all. And then I'm going to click on my select tool, and now I can move them all around. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on my canvas. Go. And I'm going to pull that layer down and to the left just a little bit. Go. Right there. Okay, so again, it makes it look like the light is shining down on it, so I have that depth on it. Now I'm going to add in my background. So in my layers, I'm going to add a new layer, hold it and pull it down below my grouped layer of my globe. I'm going to leave my background color white, and then in my color wheel, I'm going to select that lightest blue and then pull it over to the left just a little bit to make it just that much lighter. In this layer, I'm going to come into my actions, turn on my drawing guide for the canvas, and click Edit Drawing Guide. If you have it set on a 2D grid, we're going to change it to Symmetry. Click on Options and make sure it's set to Radial. And then if you do not have Assisted on your layer, come into the layer and click Drawing Assist. We're still using the Monoline brush. The reason I like Drawing Assist is because whatever I do in one area of my canvas is done throughout my canvas for me. Okay, so I'm going to start in the center, draw a line out, hold until it snaps, and then just kind of rotate it over a little. I'm going to do the same thing from the center, drawing another line out, hold until it snaps, and then one more. And there I have my layout for my starburst. Now I'm going to color fill every other. So I'm going to drag my color into this center set. So now it, there we go. So it fills those 4, and then I'm going to click Continue Filling. So I have my color drop, and then select the other ones that I'm going to have blue as well. So now it's alternating white and blue. So now I'm going to come into my group, use my select tool, and I'm going to make my globe just a little bit smaller. Make it centered. I do need to come back into this layer and delete that random little dot that I put in. Here we go. You can turn the drawing guide off now. And then I'm going to add text underneath as well. So come into my actions, click Add, Add Text. double click to select the text, and then you can change it to whatever font you want, you want to choose. I like the chalk duster or the chalkboard SE set to regular. I'm gonna write happy birthday. Oops. Okay. Now I need to change the color. I'm going to change it to this really dark blue that I started out with. Use my select tool to move it down to the bottom. Then I'm going to swipe to the left on it, click duplicate. Select that second one, come back into my colors and make it black. Use my select tool. I'm going to drag it down just a little bit down and to the right. Come into my adjustments and add the slightest blur to it so it adds a shadow. And there we have it.
Thank you so much for drawing with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you're notified when new videos are posted. Hope to see you soon.